was planning on being here, but she had hand surgery and is unable to make it tonight. But she had told me that the first thing that they had done is form a not-for-profit incorporation organization that was the steering committee for the incorporation. It was not the Landowners Association. And if that happens here, if there's a group of people who are committed to doing this, it would not be the ALA, it would be the not-for-profit organization. And she had said that there were rumors of $100,000, things like that. Now, don't forget, this was 10 years ago, but she mentioned the figure of $35,000, and they did a lot of fundraising, car washes and cupcake sales and all kinds of things to do that money, and it was done grassroots. And a little bit later, shortly, we're going to get into the new law that has been passed, so it was easier for Loxahatchee Groves to incorporate than it would be if that steering committee were to work their way through the legislation that was passed in 2014 and is on the books as of 2015. But I do just want to ask you, are those meetings at night? Because I'll tell you, as somebody who is retired and does attend a lot of the council meetings, I'm very annoyed that they're all in the daytime.
Well, this is something I think that you, again, can decide. The IGC meeting, for example, is one that tends to be during the day, because you have the town manager and the water control district manager, and you have one representative from the council and one from the water control district that come together and discuss items, and then bring it back to their respective boards. But most of the other meetings are arranged at nights, and I think that's also partially because we ourselves need to be available. It takes manpower. You know, it takes a lot of people to be involved to see that things come through.
Because all the different meetings that you're mentioning are also held on the county level, and if we stay involved and we want to see what's happening in the acreage, we can spend every day as a full-time, you know, going to the planning committee, the planning meetings, the zoning meetings, the BCC meetings, and they're all in the daytime. And our mayor, Mary Berger, told us that we do have a mayor. They pass the hat around every year, but since they're our governing body, we do have a mayor. And one of the first things she decided was there won't be any night meetings. There will be day meetings. Because her seniors, she doesn't consider it safe for them to drive at night. So she also said that if it was important enough, you could take a day off from work and go and sit there and tell them what you want. As my personal opinion on this, and this is not from the ALA, I think that when there's an important meeting, it should be held at night so that the residents can have their say. So that was one of my problems. I mean, I'm going to the planning meeting to talk about the roads and the effects of development on our roads, and it's at 9 o'clock. How many of you will be able to make a 9 o'clock meeting, no matter how much you want to tell them not to make North Lake 10 plans? So, you know, that's a trade-off too. And that just happens to be a problem that I have, that so many people who want to get involved in this, who want to attend the meetings, can't if they're in the daytime. And perhaps if more were at night out here, or at least the job, there would be more people who would be able to be represented.
And I've got to compliment our committee. We've got the fact committee, and I was the one that wanted to bring the fact committee on to begin with. And I can say it because it's public record. The mayor felt like that was a bad idea, but then he complimented them months later that they were doing an outstanding job and he was wrong. But no, you need somebody that's going to watch your finances, watch your money. And most of these people on the fact committee are CPA accountants and stuff. I mean, they know everything there is to know about money. And then we've got the red tag committee, our roads and equestrian trails and stuff. all these people are volunteering their time. That's what impresses me the most. Sometimes they put in a lot of hours. They don't get paid for it. But we don't have a problem filling the committees. In other words, we got the Red Tag Committee, the Finance Committee, the P&Z Committee, and yet we've got them full. And that's with residents volunteering their time. And what we try and do, all our meetings are at nighttime. The IGC meeting was done during the daytime because I didn't want my town manager or the water supervisor charging for working overtime. So we do it during business hours, and two of us, well, I'm retired, and the other lady, she's flexible at any time. So we felt like it was better to do it during business hours. But no, we try and work with our committees, and if there are certain nights that they can do it, they basically take a vote, and we try and make it flexible for them, because they're doing all this for volunteers, so that's unbelievable, and they all do an outstanding job.
Betty, I believe you had a question?
I have a few things. I believe the last time that Incorporation was brought up, there was a study that was done, and maybe it's different because the acreage is significantly larger. But the number that I recall was somewhere in the tune of like $175,000. So I'm curious as to, you know, where we in the acreage would be able to come up with that kind of money in order to do the appropriate studies for that.
What type of study was it, Betty?
I'm sorry?
What type of study was it?
Whatever study was required in terms of being interested in becoming a municipality, incorporating. And I think it has something to do with the projections, the kinds of things that you were talking about in terms of where would you put commercial, what would your vision be for the municipality. If I remember correctly, and there might be some people here who were around during that period of time, but Indian Trail had actually paid for that, and then it was found that Indian Trail did not have the authority to do so, so the whole thing ended up getting scrapped. So that's what I know. It's something that we should be looking into if we're seriously looking at incorporating. A few things about, you had mentioned Okeechobee, and I agree that in terms of the identity of Loxahatchee Groves, that corridor should remain 2 lanes, and turning lanes would certainly make it a little bit safer. And I personally, I don't live in the Groves, but I have lots of friends that live there, and one of the things I've heard is, you know, they'd like to get back to having like tree-lined streets and more vegetation, that kind of thing. So I think that that would be nice for the town's identity. And I agree that it should stay 2 lanes and low speed. But at the same meeting that you referred earlier, that was with Melissa McKinley before Christmas, I believe it was, they also mentioned the Southern study, which apparently the Western communities have been involved in and giving their feedback. And FDOT is doing their own study on Southern, and their concern is that they're not going to be able to handle the load of traffic from the Western communities and all the development that is either has been approved or will be coming online and anticipated. And so what they're trying to do is actually, I can't remember the exact words that Mr. Webb used, but they're trying to basically direct traffic off of Southern. And what that means is that it's going to go on all the roads feeding off of Southern, and a road like Okeechobee is going to be affected. And I'm curious, you said that, you know, the town has the ability right now to come up with a design and to do something about it. But if the county can come in now and say, we're for-laning this because all of the development approvals that they've given or are anticipated to give are relying on Okeechobee being a minimum of 4 lanes. And so I'm curious how the town is going to handle that and keep it at 2 lanes. Even if you come up with a design, if the county is counting on it being 4 lanes and the FDOT is saying, we have to move traffic off of Southern, what choice and what power does the town have without actually pursuing litigation?
First of all, I don't believe FDOT is looking to move I sit in on that meeting, but here's what I've heard from, through the grapevine about FDOT. And I don't believe it was brought about that night when George and them was
It may have been
in our
another
town
meeting.
hall. No.
No, they did bring it up.
They
Okay.
they were wanting to make Southern Boulevard a 6-lane highway, a major thoroughfare, okay? They decided that to keep up with traffic and the development coming in, a minimum of 8. And now they've increased their projections, and I heard this in Tallahassee when we were up there for the legislative session. So they've already talked about changing it from their original plan to increasing the lanes. So, and I gotta be honest with you, for engineers to say that they have to ride it off Southern Boulevard, a major thoroughfare, and run it through towns, that don't sound like they got a college degree. That sounds like they come out of the backwoods and they ain't got no sense. Because people will not leave a major thoroughfare and go through Royal Palm Beach at 40 miles an hour, light after light. That does not help traffic flow. All that does is put a burden on Royal Palm Beach, Loxahatchee Groves. We've already got a burden on Loxahatchee Groves in the afternoon between 5:30 and 6:30. It's bumper to bumper traffic from Royal Palm Beach all the way to Seminole Pratt. And we're working on getting the red light at D Road and, you know, to break the traffic just so our people can get out on Okeechobee without getting killed. But no, I do not believe that they're looking for, if they're looking to relieve traffic flow on Southern Boulevard, I don't cut them no slack, okay? Then what they need to do is they need to make Seminole Pratt Whitney through all the way to the B line. That would help us drastically. People would not want to go. I see your traffic flow now with the 441 deal coming into the acreage. And everybody's using that. It's unbelievable the time that you save by coming through there to get into the acreage and going to Royal Palm Beach Boulevard and coming out to the acreage. So no, there's ways, if they do the 441 like they're supposed to all the way through, and it's back to politics. I'm a firm believer it's back to politics. You elect these people in office, whether it's at the county commission, whether it's at the state, whatever. You elect these people. The more people that speak out, and the working man does not have time, okay? When you're working 5-6 days a week, you don't have time to get involved in politics. But I see some of you in this room here that's retired. I know you're retired. Probably rich too. But no, hey, it's the seniors, it's the people that have the availability. It's back to politics. Talk to your legislation people. We were talking to people that handle FDOT, the highway approvals and stuff for the county, for the state of Florida. When we were in Tallahassee, that was one legislature we went and talked to. You know, what are you going to do about Southern Boulevard? Because we have a simple problem in Loxahatchee that I'm fighting. We need a red light at D Road and Southern Boulevard. We've had a couple of people killed. We have numerous accidents where people try and shoot over the head in town. FDOT, they're trying to change that whole game plan. So that's one thing I'm working on, and I can't do it without the legislature's help, without county help and stuff like that. But no, I don't believe that. I believe Southern Boulevard, when it gets done, will reap the benefits just like we have from Royal Palm Beach all the way in town.
Ron?
But we'll have to wait and see.
We have our meeting in May. GL Homes had to resubmit a new traffic study once Avenir went through approval with, that's it, Palm Beach Gardens. And the county's traffic study will be finished the middle of April. So for our May meeting, we have scheduled Mr. George Webb, who is the traffic engineer for the county, to come out and discuss the new road study and plans for the acreage, and I would guess North Lake and everything else. So I encourage you to come out to the May meeting and hear the latest figures. She said, we were told that he could come out in March, but it would be with the old figures, so we switched him from next month to May, so that we can hear the very latest that they're planning based on the GL homes, which truly affects us because it's the first one that will be built right here in the acreage. And so it's close to us, Avenue is close to us, but GL homes will truly affect all of our, interior roads. And to that end, since it's beginning to get late, I want to thank you very much for coming. Have downloaded.
And hey, I want to thank all of you for listening to me. You're one of the nicest crowds I've talked to. My council meetings, I'm telling you, if you're not doing nothing Tuesday night, come to my council meeting, and that way you can see how we get bashed and stuff.
This can be found, oh, it's not,
Go ahead and just click on it again. Down below. Just click. There you go.
it's not up there.
It should-
It's on news.
Yeah, it's on the news section now.
It says out of range. Oh. It was showing up there,
They have problems with the system also.
6 o'clock. Okay, well, I also have the hard copy because I truly don't believe in these things. If anybody would like to take a look at this, afterwards, it's the 2015 statute that if a group of people decided that they wanted to proceed with the incorporation, they would follow the new statute that was passed in 2014 and it became viable in 2015. And it does have some components that Elise was going to talk to you that they had to use, starting with the not-for-profit organization. They had to hire someone to write a bill. The bill had to pass both the House and the Senate in Tallahassee, and then it had to be signed by the governor and become law, allowing the district to incorporate. Okay? We are known as an independent special district.
Is that microphone? Because she's having a hard time hearing back there.
I can make this larger though.
We the acres or we Loxahatchee?
We are the, that's our mailbox. That's our post office for some of us, 4433470. So our mail goes into Loxahatchee and then it's delivered out here to the acreage. The difference between what Loxahatchee Groves did and what we would have to do today is after that bill became a law, we would have to get a petition signed by 40% of the elected residents of the acreage. That petition would then go to ITID.
I'm sorry, the elected who?
No, the qualified electors.
It's
people
the
that-
voters, right?
Right.
Registered
That's
voters.
what I'm saying.
Okay.
40% of the elected, of the
Electorates.
Thank you, would, that petition would then go to the ITID. ITID would then vote on it to decide whether to send that to a referendum. And at that point, a referendum would be set up and the majority of the eligible, I kept saying elected, eligible voters in the acreage would have to vote for it. So that's the added wrinkle. They didn't have to have their water district approved it first.
Do we have to have our water district approve it? I was curious.
That's what I was just saying, okay?
Do you do?
After the bill becomes a law, okay, we get, and we also, there's a ticking clock on that. We get 1 year to come up with with a petition with 40% of the voters in the acreage to want to go to referendum. We would present that petition to ITID, and those 5 ITID supervisors would decide whether to hold the election or not. If they said yes, then the referendum would be held, and then you need a majority of the residents of the acreage to want to become a municipality. So that's what Loxahatchee Groves did not have to do. And that was just done in 2015. And you can go, there's a link that will take you to that, and you can actually read these, all the stipulations for that. Yes?
The representatives of the ITID, are they bound by this 40%, or do they just decide on their own whether or not to present this to the voters?
Exactly. They, the people would present it to them, and they would consider it, and they would vote yes or no. They are not bound by it. They would get a vote. And we are honored today to have the president of ITID, Carol Jacobs, here. Carol, would you like to stand up?
Well, the one thing I'd like to say is, I know a lot of people don't want GL homes, which that's not our decision. But GL homes is within the Indian Trail Improvement District boundaries, and they want to come in as active unit, which they would be paying taxes like you all. And also, they're going to have commercial, which helps with your incorporation. And they'll be helping with our roads and such, so all the neighbors' roads over in that area that are going to be impacted, they'll be contributing to that. So if you have a year to do it, you might want to wait till after that process has gone through.
Well, this is going to be a long
Because I think you
process.
have, don't you have a year after you started, or?
You have a
It's after it becomes a law. So that whole process has to take place.
First.
And then you have to wait for the session, the legislative session.
Okay.
So Tallahassee has to even agree to take a look at this.
Right.
Okay, so we would have to have a bill passed by both houses of the legislature and the governor sign it. It would become a law allowing us the opportunity to become a municipality. And then you go out and you try to get 40% of the residents to sign a petition, and the petition is right here. Right there, petition for municipal conversion. So you would just make a copy of this and go around and try to get 40% of the people in the acreage to sign one of those things. Then you would present that to the ITID. They would make a decision, they would take a vote, and if they agreed to further the process, then we would go to a referendum in the acreage.
Right.
Yes?
And I want to say one more thing. A few of the people I talked to in Tallahassee, they said this should have been done a long time ago. And they're familiar with acreage. So, you know, representatives up there. So I think that a lot of them know this area. So I don't think there'd be a problem. I don't think there'd be a problem in Tallahassee.
Could you stand up so we could all hear you?
Well,
And any
sure,
other
you're
information-
No, they're very nice. I don't want to
Any
say
other information that you could give us, I would appreciate it.
But and I got a name of a lawyer from Abruzzo. So, you know, this is something we should have did a long time ago, way before all this development.
Yes,
From the beginning of it, from the petitions to the lobbying to setting up the not-for-profit, I mean, it's a tremendous amount of money. Where does that funding come from? How do you fund that? Or how do we fund that?
right. Elise said that it came from grassroots, people who supported it, plus all the fundraising that they did. All the dinners that they held and everything. Plus some people who were attorneys and everything donated some of their time as residents to move this forward. But she said that she was surprised, now again, that was 10 years ago, that it did not take the tremendous amount of money that she thought that it would. But it takes a lot of dedication, it takes a lot of people. Okay, so the ALA, there are 6 directors. We are only bringing you the information, and if the people want it, then the people are going to have to form that committee and keep it moving. And part of it is just getting the word out. We don't have any real TV stations or anything to turn to. We have the acreage and everybody tunes into it. So just getting the word out that even we're having a meeting or what this means. Because a lot of people think this means city versus rural. If we don't incorporate, then we're going to stay rural. And I think people are becoming more aware of the fact that even if we do nothing, there are forces around us that are changing what is happening. And you need to decide, do you like the county making our decisions? Maybe you like that. Maybe you don't like attending the meetings. They already have people that they're paying for that. So we're fine with that. So we choose to do nothing. Or do you want to elect the people so that if you don't like what you're doing, you can throw them out? You can tell them, I want night meetings because I want to go there. There are definite pros and cons, and I'm not taking a side until I'm not wearing my ALA hat. I'm just trying to show you that you have to decide, but part of it is getting the information out to people to let them know that this stuff is coming, whether you incorporate or not, because it's not city versus rural, it's home rule versus county rule. Are you happy with the commissioners making our decisions, or do you want to not just vote for one person and have them perhaps overruled by 6 other people? Do you want to elect all 5 of those people so that you can get rid of them if you don't like what they're doing?
Well, we do have a mayor, but people don't realize we have a mayor.
That's, they change the hat all the time, but up in New Jersey, they do the same thing. We had 3 town councilmen, we elected all 3 of them, and then they changed the hat every year, so every year the mayor was running for office.
Right.
Because that was always the person wearing that hat. Todd?
The possibility exists that we could possibly get incorporated by any of the surrounding
Exactly.
cities, correct?
Exactly.
Annexed.
Well, annexed.
Annexed,
That is
exactly.
next month's meeting. There is a possibility we could be annexed.
People need to
We're
So-
having
We could
a
be annexed by
person speak.
We could possibly get something into Palm Beach Gardens, Loxahatchee Groves,
Annexation,
Royal Palm
any of
Beach,
the incorporated
West Palm.
municipalities.
or Minto.
So they could just,
Absolutely.
we don't create regions and take different parts.
That's why you need to do it
We
fast.
don't know. That's why we're having somebody from the county come and talk to us about the process. Yes, next month. Yes.
Because if they,
As far as being annexed goes, you say that if 40% of the people vote to have, to incorporate, and then ITID gets to say whether or not the 40% get their way. As far as annexing goes, do we get a vote, or does the Vipers in West Palm Beach get to say, well, we want we want Loxahatchee, we want the acreage?
But
How does that work?
Well, here's the thing. I don't have a clue, and that's why I invited the county planner to come to next month's meeting, and she's going to talk about voluntary and involuntary annexation. So again, that'll be part of our knowledge base when we're making a decision. Do we want to incorporate? Do we want to be annexed? Do we just want to say, you guys are doing a great job, handle it, and we're just going to go about our lives?
As far as being annexed,
Because I can't wait to
I
hear what you
really
guys
don't
have to say.
see any part of West Palm Beach that I want to be where I live.
I'm just wondering why we're here today, like what started the ball rolling on this?
Okay, what got this ball rolling is, it was like 2008, the last time it was brought up, okay? And that's a long time ago, and a lot has happened out here since. Developers who were very happy during the land bust to keep their land agricultural, and now that the economy's turned around and the housing market's going up, now they're asking to flip the agricultural land and to have density. More density that was in the comprehensive land use plan. So there was planned growth for here. Doesn't mean that if you don't do anything, there's no growth, but it was planned growth. But it seems that every time there's a plan that's put forward, they increase what the density would have been. So we are facing different issues than the people who decided in 2008 were facing. So we need to take a look at it again and say, what do you think now in 2016? Now that we're looking at Avenir and Minto and Indian Trails Grove and Santa Rosa Grove is Iota. It's the little piece of land that fills in GL Homes. You know, they had the view and then they had this piece. Well, Iota's the piece in the middle. Yes.
I got a couple of notes that I wanted to go over. I'll stand up so people can hear me. We just communicated with somebody that was on the Incorporation Committee for Loxahatchee Groves, and I'm gonna drop the dollar amount on here, and it's a lot less than what you think. It was $15,000, and it was grassroots, it was people that pulled money together. A lot of the funds and whatnot were donated. There was a lot of attorneys that donated a lot of time, planners, land planners, that donated a lot of time. So that might be the discrepancy from $15,000 to $175,000, because a lot of that was donated. We don't have many residents in Loxahatchee Groves, so if they were able to get people to donate all that time, you guys have a tremendous amount bigger pool to pull from for that. So you guys probably have plenty of attorneys and land planners out here that'd be more than happy to donate that time. So I think you guys can do it probably for the same amount, or maybe not much more. Okeechobee Boulevard, somebody asked, why are you guys opposed to it being 4-lane? There's a lot of people that live on Okeechobee Boulevard. That used to be a 2-lane dirt road, like Persimmon. You know, and now you've got, what's going to happen here is you got Minto over here. They're going to end up at some point 4-laning it through. And these people that lived on it when it was a dirt road are now looking out and they're on a 4-lane road. So Okeechobee Boulevard is that way for us. You know, there's plenty of people that live there and they don't want to see it 2-lane paved, let alone 4-lane paved with all this traffic going through. And it goes right through the middle of Loxahatchee Groves. We incorporated to protect within our borders, and that divides our town right in half. We've got, you know, Ron Gerald up there who spends a tremendous amount of time as a council member in our town, but we're 10 years into the town incorporating, and we still have not changed the speed limit on Okeechobee Boulevard. It's just until recently that I've been pushing and pushing behind the scenes to get it done. We have traffic control over the county roads. We don't have control over how wide it is and that sort of thing. But we have traffic control. We can lower that speed limit down to 30 miles an hour, and that's going to reduce the cut-through traffic. Now, there was talk about Southern Boulevard. Well, of course, they don't want to take, the state doesn't want to take traffic off of Southern and put it on the other roads. Sure they do, because it saves them money. If they can get cars to come off of Southern and go to Okeechobee Boulevard, a county road, that saves the state money. That defers it onto the county. So, we're, you know, as a town, we need to push and get Southern Boulevard as wide as possible to get it off of Okeechobee onto Southern going around our town. You know, there's some costs about, I'll give you an example. We got Lieutenant Combs here. We pay the county the same amount of money after incorporation than we did before. However, the funds that pay for the sheriff now comes from the town. So, of course, the county didn't drop their rate that we were paying for the taxes. So if we were paying $100 a year in taxes, the sheriff department got $5 of that, and that was the end of it. Well, of course, after incorporation, we're still paying $100 to the county, and now we're paying $5 out of our pocket to pay for the sheriff. So the taxes did raise by us that being in there. Yes, we have more control. We have 5 council members who have control in our town, but having that control is a double-edged sword. It can be used for good, it can be used for bad. And that's what you got to, you know, think about, is there is negatives that come with all this, or potential. Just at the last council meeting, there was talk, and we still have the mayor, thank God Ron Gerald has changed his position tonight, it sounds, that they wanted to change it from AR zoning to RR zoning and make people request, if you want to do agriculture, you've got to go for a land use change and ask, can I do agriculture? And we're 5-acre lots. I mean, you guys are 1.25 acre lots out here. So, you know, there's negative sides to it. I voted against incorporation, and I still haven't changed that position. I'm hoping at some point that my position does change, and I'm glad we did incorporate it. But we're 10 years into it, and I'm still not happy with it. We have a water control district and a town. The water control district was there for years and years, and now the town has a higher authority and higher position than the water control district, and the big pants, the water control district, isn't happy about that. So there's constant infighting between the two. Ron Giro originally got on the water control, from the water control district to the town because of that infighting. He's been on there for 6 years, and it's still happening. And I thought for sure when Ron Giro came over from the water control district, that would stop. It would only make sense if those people moved over, but it's still there. The fighting still continues 6 years later, and it's not going to go away. If you guys do incorporate, I suggest making the Indian Trails Improvement District a dependent district, and you don't have 10 elected officials out here. You should rename the 5, and everybody has their place. There's not this equal thing with people fighting. So, you know, I strongly request that, if you guys do that. Our town charter does not prohibit us from having employees, like it was stated here tonight. We can have employees, so that's incorrect. We cannot borrow money, that is correct. Now, that's a good thing or a bad thing, because you know how government is. We borrow money and put everybody in debt in a heartbeat. So there's pros and cons to having that in our town charter. As it stands right now, we've got a tremendous amount of money sitting in a bank account, and there's infighting as to what we're going to spend this money on. Nobody can decide what to do with all this money. That's almost worse than what you had before, because what you have right now is Palm Beach County taxing you, and they're spending the money in Boca Raton, they're spending it in Riviera Beach, they're not spending it here in the acreage. Well, we're almost doing worse. We're collecting the taxes in Loxahatchee Groves, and we're not spending it all. Nobody's benefiting from it. And that stuff needs to stop. So there's good things and there's bad things about incorporating, and you guys really need to think it through before you do it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What is your name?
Todd McClendon.
Thank you very much for all of that information. Yes,
I have a
Lena.
question. You guys talking about incorporation, you just mentioned GL Homes. Are you trying to incorporate with GL Homes area or without it?
Well, the process is going to take so long, the GL homes will be approved, and they will be in active unit before any of this starts.
Wait, well, let's not go there because Scripps was a done deal. So let's not go there. But, and you know, 3.5D traffic exemptions are special favors for the future traffic issues, and that's what they're requesting. But
I'm not understanding what
the
you're saying.
3.5D exemption that they're requesting not to have to look at, they're not, ag enclave like Middle was. So, so let's leave that be for a moment. No, I had the question because I wanted to know who was your voters base? Who is changing who you are and what you want? That's what I was asking. So, if you have a sense of who you
Whoever
are.
bothers to show up at the polls,
No,
and whoever bothers to sign a petition.
20% of the acreage.
you're not hearing me.
No.
Loxahatchee Groves, we are, in a sense, we're people, for the most part, that, wanted to protect themselves, for the most part, right? That had a certain philosophy. If you bring in people, for example, if you all live on an acre, 2 acres, and you suddenly have people that live in massive amounts of apartments, their desires, their wants, their understanding of things are different than those that live like you do. And I understand that a lot of times they're looking for balance. I think there was some issue around, what was that, Ron? There was this issue around affordable housing, right, that we had to get through. That was one of the issues. But, when you mentioned GL Homes, it confused me for that reason, because you clearly would completely change who you are and what your desires would become as a town. That's why I asked the question.
But GL Homes has said, and, things can change, that they were not planning to break ground for 3 to 5 years. Okay, so nothing's going to be built right away, it's not going to be built tomorrow, and if this takes place, perhaps it takes 3 years, 4 years. I don't think those residents would affect this incorporation. Okay, because of the time that it's going to take them to get up and running. The Minto people will not affect us because they're not our voters. Avenir's people won't affect us. So basically, it's the people who are right here, right now, in the acreage, would be determining whether we incorporate or not. Yes?
I'm still confused with Loxahatchee and the acreage, because on Loxahatchee address,
Right.
32470, am I acreage?
Well, let me explain to you. Yes, you are, yes. This is a very huge area, and 3 different post offices, we were cut like into 3 pieces, and there are 3 different zip codes that people have. Some West Palm Beach, I know the acreage, because I'm the acreage. Is the other one Royal Palm Beach?
Royal Palm Beach, West Palm
So that's where your mail comes into, and then that's where the truck leaves there and drives into the acreage to actually deliver your mail. But we are the entity of the acreage. And I incorporated But as of the last census, I believe they considered us an entity and gave us, allow us to use the name the acreage. Am I correct? Carol?
Technically, it's unincorporated Palm Beach
It's
County.
gonna go by.
Acreage is just a name for the area.
Right. And we do have boundaries.
So Loxahatchee Groves has nothing to do with me, they're totally different.
Exactly.
They are an actual town. The rest of us are unincorporated. Whether your mailing address says Royal Palm Beach, mine says West Palm Beach. I live up by North Lake Boulevard. I live in the acreage just like you, but I have a West Palm Beach 33412. I don't live in West Palm Beach, but that's my mailing address.
Some Loxahatchee, but I'm part of the acreage.
Yeah, you have a Loxahatchee, Loxahatchee 33470 on your mail, but you do not live in Loxahatchee Groves.
Yes, I want to vote on Loxahatchee, and you're not Loxahatchee.
Right.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have anything that they would like to say? Yes, Leo. Now,
I don't think Indian Trails included. One of the problems is Indian Trail also has village of Royal Palm Beach. And Incorporation, I don't know if you need to take all of the acreage before we could end up having a east acreage, west acreage, north, south, or anything like that. One of the problems is I'm done.
The problem is that it's a special taxing district. And because of the special taxing district, the entire special taxing district has to come forward with petitions of 40% of the people that are registered voters. And then they have to go before ITID, because anything that ITID oversees becomes, they don't oversee Royal Palm Beach. Carol, do you oversee Royal Palm Beach?
Our boundaries, whatever our
To
boundaries.
their boundary, right?
Yeah.
But they don't, but nothing inside Royal Palm Beach.
Yeah, there is a couple.
Yes,
that
there's a
serve
few
us.
streets in La Mancha.
Land. We'll have to look into that.
And they
My honest answer is, I didn't know that, I'll have to look into it.
but
One thing's kind of concerned me, is that I just kind of feel a little bit.
Is that just drainage?
Well, they
Also,
can't.
with the incorporation, you don't have to take, I don't think, you don't have to take all of the special taxes. You have acreage, city, gets half of the acres.
we would have to get an attorney's opinion on that, okay? And right now, we're not spending the ALA's money to get this, but I was assured that
When the
ITID,
planner comes in,
we do qualify as at this point. It was interesting that before this law was passed in 2008, they could not have incorporated because they didn't have the law that allowed them to do it.
or you were coming there.
Yes, Terry, did you have a question?
I actually do. Can ITID fund the incorporation? They give
Turn
approval?
around and ask the woman who's
I
sitting
did, I don't believe so, back in, I think it was 2003 or 2002, when they were doing it last time, and I don't believe in the Trail Scout. No, I didn't even know we could get
I'm
involved in it.
wondering, because you have approval, final
With
approval.
with this change, I don't know.
I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I would say since, like a judge has to be neutral, and because they would be taking a look at the petition and deciding at that point.
I would
To me,
think,
it would
but
be a
we'll have to
conflict
read
of
all the things on there, because before I didn't even know any trails had a road in there.
Yes,
You have a lot of loose ends, and before you commit yourself, you do a lot of digging, shopping around, and getting all your ducks in a row before you commit yourself on the edge.
you see, what we're trying to do is start the conversation here. There are no answers, there's no decisions. What we're doing is trying to get the word out and say, this is what's happening around us in 2016. Is there a group that's interested in doing exactly what you said? Finding the thing, getting it out, starting to beat the bushes, let people know about this. And so Next week, it's going to be hanging also, you know? We're bringing in the people to discuss annexation, and then if there's a group who's involved in that, they are welcome to form a focus group and to get that moving. All we're trying to do is start the dialogue, and if it goes nowhere, the ALA has done their due diligence, and we're done with it in May. We're doing the incorporation discussion in February, annexation by a county planner in March. In April, the county director, and I forget his last name, of code enforcement is coming out to discuss about code enforcement here in the acreage. And then in May, it's George Webb coming back with the latest studies. Now that the county has had an opportunity to take a look at what GL Homes has submitted to them because of Avenue. So these are 4 meetings. If you're interested in hearing what's going on in the acreage, come on out, listen. You'll hear some information, but nothing's going to be decided at any of the meetings.
Lillian,
Yeah.
if you want me to ask, or if you want to ask Jim, we have that electric sign if you want to borrow it for
That
your,
would be super.
you know, maybe on 60th, which seems to be a pretty busy
Yeah,
street,
thank you very much.
you know, but do you want me to ask Jim tomorrow?
Could you please?
Yeah,
That
and
would
then-
be great.
And then give me some dates on when you would think.
Yeah,
Because
I
you
will.
could just leave it up there, I mean, that's what it's for.
Mhm.
You know, like we were getting it for when we were gonna repair a road or whatever.
Okay.
Or announce some big meeting.
Thank you very much for that, because that's our main problem. We're huge.
Well, there's a
You
lot
know,
of
and
new people have moved out
Getting the
here
information out.
since I moved here. I mean, there's been a big turnover, so.
Well, and a lot of people don't travel 60th, so
Yeah.
anybody.
Well, you can move
We
it
were talking
around.
about
You can
identities
move it around.
separating, Seminole Pratt Whitney separates the acreage. And widening that further creates some of the same problems that Okeechobee is having. We have the east and the west already, and once 60th goes all the way through, we're gonna have the north and the south. So,
With North Lake, can you imagine 10 lanes
I don't
on
even want to
North
think
Lake?
about it.
Boggles my mind. I mean, we're talking about Southern going to 8, and it's, oh my goodness, Southern's going to 8. And we're talking about North Lake, 10 lanes on North Lake. And it should be 12, but they can't fit 12. So, I mean, wait till you hear George Webb speak. I couldn't sleep that night after going to those meetings. But anyway, we do have some good news. We wanted to end on it. You guys have been very patient. We have some exciting events that we want to discuss, and that's Tim.
Now you get to talk about the fun stuff. March 5th, 2 o'clock till in the afternoon till 11 o'clock at night. We're having a Loxapalooza chili cook-off and music fest at the community park off 140th. The chili cook-off will run from 2 to 6. You'll be able to taste the chili. It's going to be $5. If you want to participate as one of the cooks, it's a $50 entrance fee to be one of the cooks, but the tasting will be $5. It'll all go towards some kind of community project. We're going to have live bands. We're going to have food trucks there from 6 o'clock on after the chili part wraps up. It'll be the kids' zone. We're going to have some vendors there. All kinds of stuff. The car cruise in. We're going to have three prizes we're giving out to the car cruise in. Last time we had close to 100 classic or semi-classic, however you want to phrase it, cars there also under the lights. I'm working on something else and hoping it comes together. If it does, we'll be announcing it. All of this stuff's available on our website at acreslandowners.com. We also try to keep updated with what's going on. If you're looking for something like the movie night, we keep that listed on there when it's happening, where it's at, what times it is, the horses that help for kids, the Horsemen's Association with their barrel stuff, the different stuff they have going on, things that are going on at the library. Our disco dance is listed there. So if you're looking for things that are going on, feel free to go jump on our website. There's a contact form if you need to ask a question. I'm pretty good about getting back to everybody as quickly as I can when I find out the information that they're asking about.
Does anybody else have anything they would like to add? Oh, sure.
I would just like to add, my name is Betty Argue, and I'd just like to add that there's some misinformation going around that Minto is a done deal. We are still legally challenging it. There are 2 outstanding legal challenges. So With respect to Persimmon,
I do have a question about that. Is it Minto that's being sued, or is
it's
it
the county regarding the Minto development.
about flipping the ag land? Is that where?
It's about the land use change and trying to use our roads and turn them into highways.
I see.
Yes.
And they're still ongoing.
Those
Is
those
that why
two challenges
Minto-
are ongoing.
So that's why Minto has not started improving the road right in front of the high school?
No, I don't think that's why. But, no.
Okay.
But the point is that it's ongoing. Whatever decisions Minto's making as far as their development goes, I guess it would be a risk, just like it was for Scripps. You remember that they were building, and everybody thought that was a done deal, and it was not. So it's the same thing with Minto, and Alerts is continuing to pursue our legal challenges. So for anybody to say that it's done and that, you know, that's over with, the lawsuits are still ongoing. And the other thing I wanted to say was about Persimmon in particular. Persimmon is our road. It has never been turned over to the county. And it's very important that the residents know that. There are roads in our community that Minto and Avenir and GL Homes and Iota Carroll are all going to rely on. They are our roads. They are not county roads. And we have a right and a say in it. And Indian Trail does as well. So people need to, you know, speak up, be heard. Don't think that they can just come in and do whatever the heck they want, because they can't. We have to have our voice heard through the legal system, and that's why we have the legal challenges. But for anybody to say that we have to let the county come in and do whatever they want to do just because we're not incorporated, that's absolutely false.
And ITID's meeting is next Wednesday?
Yeah.
Is that correct? And I have to tell you, there was some misinformation out there about ITID is not protecting our roads, and that's not true at all. I was at the last meeting, and there was somebody speaking, a planner who was proposing from this very screen various ways of traffic calming, and not only traffic calming, but on Persimmon, traffic prevention. Ways that would keep them from turning left to get into the thing. So they are diligently looking at ways to protect our interior roads. So we all need to work together, and we all need to keep the lines of communication open. And ITID's meetings are at night. They don't meet at 9 in the morning, so we can't be there. It's 6:30 at night on the third Wednesday of every month.
Third Wednesday, because we're trying to have the workshops on
You
the
need to
second
come out and
Wednesday.
see, you know, these are the people we could vote in or out, unlike the county where we can't vote them in and out. So we all need to do our civic duty and come out and attend these meetings, you know, and support what you like, and then tell them nicely, maybe this way, that way. But, you know, we need to get involved.
Yeah, because when I get up there, sometimes I might have a decision on something, and, you know, just from reading my book and doing my research. But then when the people get up and talk, and you listen to what they have to say, it can change your mind, you know, at that time. It might, you know, you never know how it's gonna go. So if you get a whole crowd in there and they're going one way, it could change your
Thank you so
mind.
much for taking
Or
the
if they
time
give
to
you
talk to
good reasons or good explanations about things, you might say, wow, that makes sense, I didn't see it that way. So it's good for the people to get involved, and we've had nobody. Few people, like five.
Yes, Todd?
On the subject of Minto, is there any truth to the rumor that they're shopping that property or that parcel around?
Yeah, I heard that
There's
there's.
been
Anybody heard? I mean, I've heard that twice from somebody whose son worked for Minto, and he was laid off because they're selling it. So this is all like second and third hand, but I haven't heard anything that I know to be a fact. Does anybody?
What's the zoning varying signs that they have up all around those big yellow signs?
I do not know.
What are they?
Yeah.
Well, they're already going for variances for their original approval of their development. So they've done some variances on Pod Q, for example, where they made the houses larger and the lot sizes smaller, and they've done a few different things. So when Lillian talked about the fact that we could be sitting at county meetings every single day, whether I'm at the county meetings or not, I'm reading the stuff that's going on, and there's a lot of people that are a part of alerts that have been following this. But even if we were to incorporate, you still have to be a part of all of that, what's going on at the county on top of what's going on in your own community. So, yeah, they've already, they actually did a variance request that technically should have been a whole new design, a whole new process, but the county gave them a variance because it was just easier to do it that way.
So I would like to encourage you all to go to the back and take some Girl Scout cookies. Tonight, we brought a lot of Girl Scout cookies. Maybe that's very, very happy. I have a motion to adjourn there.
It's supposed to be there a long time. It was like, what, one permit? And that's being held over the That's why you Yeah, I saw that, yeah. Right, that's an important. They have the permits to do
with Ralph Brooks in reference to letting us, I don't know whether this thing is on.
Regarding my question about
Yeah.
I gave them things,
So here's the thing, county
George was smart, that he knew that in order to make it development and Mitch had that money up front, they didn't have to wait to get in their own vehicle system. But the other part of it is that without doing some of the work out, so that's what